not long after the Patriots and Bill Belichick parted ways, they already got their new guy. So today, Patriots named Jerod Mayo the new head coach. Now, this is not really a surprise because there were always talks that Mayo would be the guy to succeed Bill Belichick once Bill left. We didn't know Bill would be gone this soon. I think that was discussed last year. Maybe down the line, maybe 2-3 years from now, possibly. But it happened. So Mayo is now named the guy. Now, there are a lot of different speculations on this decision. Kraft promised Mayo, so he had to stick to his guns. And it might have been a move that they really didn't want to make, because being that the guys who are available, some people said Mike Vrabel would have been a better option. There were other names thrown out there. But Kraft said, you know what? I made a promise to Mayo. And Mayo stayed on because Mayo had gotten offers from other teams to interview, and he turned them down because he was told that he would be the guy in New England. So now he got his chance. We'll see what happens. Now, we know that the Patriots had a lot of offensive problems. I mean, this team offensively was just dreadful. Can a defensive guy like Jerod Mayo turn around the offense, or at least bring in a guy that can turn the offense around? That I don't know. I'm not really optimistic that the Patriots are going to turn things around, and it's unfortunate because I think Jerod Mayo he's getting a raw deal here, and I haven't seen really nobody talking about this possibility that Jerod Mayo may end up being a one and done scenario, maybe even 2 years, because how patient will Robert Kraft be, or the Krafts? Because I know Jonathan is going to take over at some point. After having 20 plus years of greatness, how patient will they be with Jerod Mayo? And I just don't see the patience. I mean, you're taking over from a guy. You parted ways with the greatest coach in the history of the sport after 4 years prior parting ways with the greatest quarterback in the sport. That means Jerod Mayo needs to get off the ground and running immediately, or he could be on a hot seat by year one. It's a very strong possibility. Right now, it's a honeymoon phase. Everybody's excited. They're happy. This is the most important offseason in Jerod Mayo's early coaching career. He will not get the same latitude as he probably would have if he went to another franchise. Right? If he'd have took a job in another team, he probably would have got a lot more of a leash to operate. But Robert Kraft and the Krafts, they're not going to be patient. They're just not. They're going to expect Mayo to come in immediately and turn this thing around. That's what they're going to do. And if Mayo doesn't do it, by this time next year, there's going to be talks about Mayo being on the hot seat. And I know it's an uncomfortable thing to say and people will disagree, but we have to be realistic here. This is the NFL. It's about results. It's about what have you done for me lately? And if the Patriots were able to move on from Bill Belichick after having one really dreadful year, even though things were starting to go downhill, I mean, I guess the last couple of years, but they were still in playoff contention the other years after Brady. I mean, they made the playoffs. They were competing last year. And then this year, things just completely collapsed. So one collapsed year, so, oh my God, we got to move on, right? You heard the rumblings. It's the time to get rid of Bill after what he did for this franchise for 20 plus years. So do you think they're going to be patient with Jerod Mayo? Do you think the Boston media is going to be patient with Jerod Mayo? Do you think the Patriot ownership is going to be patient with Jerod Mayo? The answer is no. He's going to have there is a good side here for Mayo, right? The expectations, they won 4 games this year. They won 4 games. So if you improve the win total, and the team looks good, they're competing, you draft the right offensive players, you get the right offensive free agency, you can sell like, hey, look, we're moving up, we're heading up in the right direction. But if they come back next year, win 3 games, 5 games, they're gonna need to win like 8, 9 games to compete for the division. Possibly might even have to win the division, which is gonna be hard because you got Miami and Buffalo and Aaron Rodgers and the Jets coming back next year. So I think if they compete, if they're in games, they're gonna have to compete against like when you play against the Jets, you play against the Bills, you play against the Dolphins, you cannot get blown out in those games next year. You're gonna have to compete. You have to be close games. Preferably, you're gonna need to win a bunch of those games in the division. So these are the key division games. You gotta win. I say you're gonna have to probably go 4-2 in the division, maybe 3-3 at the worst, because division games hits fan bases and ownership a little bit different than it is if you lose games outside the division, outside the conference. You gotta win. You gotta compete at home. That's another one too. We saw a couple games this year where the Patriots played like crap at home. They were terrible. So division games, you gotta be in there. You gotta be at least 3-3, 4-2. I say 3-3. You could probably get away with that. At home, you gotta compete. You can't get blown out at home. And I think if those two things happen, Mayo could be safe even if the Patriots don't make the playoffs next year, because at least you can sell it. Look, we're moving up. But if they get beat down at home next year again, if they lose in the division, they go 0-6 or 1-5, Mayo's going to be out. Mayo's going to be out. And if they strike out on this top 3 pick, they pick the wrong guy and he turns out to be a bust. And I know it's unfair to say a bust in the first year, but it's a risky move here, because I know everyone's saying that Williams make Drake May, or what's his name, Drake May, and Daniels, these 3 quarterbacks are like the sure thing. I wouldn't trust it. It's not guaranteed a sure thing. I think they have to go Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 3. That's a sure thing. And you go out and you sign a veteran QB and maybe find a rookie quarterback in the 2nd or 3rd round, and you have him sit behind a veteran QB, and then you sell it. That's how you sell it. Because at least a veteran QB with that defense can get you into the playoffs next year. You got to get the right veteran QB. I know Kirk Cousins could be available, but he may end up going back to Minnesota. And this season tells you how valuable veteran QBs are. Look at Joe Flacco, what he did coming out of sitting on the couch. So the Patriots hadn't had a solid or even a good veteran QB never, because Tom Brady held the realm, and after Brady left, they brought in Cam Newton, but they had young QBs backing them up. Then Brian Hoyer was there for a while, but no one thought Hoyer was even that good. He was just a good guy in the organization. But you go out and get a legitimate veteran QB that can actually win games, like a Kirk Cousins or a Joe Flacco type. You draft a rookie quarterback later on in the draft, or maybe take a flyer or some young QB across the league that didn't really get a shot. You bring him in as a backup. Maybe you can fix him. Who knows? The key is going to be development. This is the main problem that the Patriots will have to face, is they're going to have to develop players on the offensive side of the ball. And that includes the quarterback. You had the luxury for 20 years not having to really develop a quarterback, because Tom Brady was pretty much ahead of the curve. He was a smart guy. He was a good quarterback. He caught him late, 6th round. Many people pass on him because he didn't look like he would be great, right? But the guy was always a mind. He was always a high IQ guy, even back in his Michigan days. And so you had the luxury of not having to really worry about Brady. But now the game is different now. These guys are not, there's no Tom Brady's in these draft classes. A lot of these guys are coming in with they're more physically gifted than Tom Brady, but their IQs are not that as high as Brady's. So these guys need to develop inside of a system. So these guys got to develop. You have to develop these players. And so it's all about picking the right guy. You need a veteran QB on the roster. A veteran QB that can win games or has a lot of experience. That's going to be the key here. Veteran quarterback. You got to pick Marvin Harrison Jr. I know everyone loves the QBs. They're saying the Patriots should trade up to number 1 and secure Caleb Williams. I'm not sold on Caleb Williams. I'm just not sold that he's a franchise QB. And if you're a first-year coach like a Jerod Mayo, you do not want to take the chance because you're not going to get a chance to see this through. Caleb Williams may end up being great in 4 or 5 years, but you won't be around to see that. You just won't because you're following Bill Belichick. You think the Kraft's going to give you 5 years, 3, 4 years? You're not going to see that. Drake May, another guy, he could be great, but you got to wait to see the greatness fulfilled. You're not going to get that kind of leash. Your best bet is to go out and get a veteran quarterback, get some wins under your belt, and develop a rookie quarterback later on in the draft as a backup. That's your best bet. That's your best bet. And draft to secure. Oh, God. All right. Sorry, guys. I mean, someone called me in the middle of my video. I had to stop the video. But anyway, where was I? So, yeah. So, you got to get Marvin Harrison Jr. is the sure thing with the veteran quarterback. That would immediately improve your offense in year 1. Okay? That's what you got to do. That is a sure bet. Worry about the rest later. Defense is still going to be good. You know, don't take a flyer on these rookie quarterbacks as a first-year head coach and get burnt. Okay? Don't end up like Carolina. The head Carolina coach comes in. He has Bryce Young. Bryce Young doesn't do jack squat. The team looks like crap, and he gets fired. You don't want to be that, and it's going to be a lot worse for you because you're succeeding Bill Belichick. You do not want to waste a year being mediocre after Bill Belichick leaves. You want to get to a point. You want to win 7, 8, 9, 10 games, 7, 8, 9 games next season. You got to give yourself a leash. And that's my take. That's all if you disagree, that's fine. But that's the way to go. That is the way for Jerod Mayo. This is his path to success, at least to give himself a little bit of a cushion. Because, yeah, they loved you. They liked you when you was a coordinator or a coach, a linebacker coach, whatever your position was. But now you're the head coach. So the attitude is going to be a lot different. The expectation is going to be a lot more. The patience is not going to be there. So you have to look at it like that. This is a new start. Pretend that you just coming in, not that you already know the guy. Because the media is going to be on your ass immediately. And you can tell that when Kraft and Bill decided to part ways, I could guarantee you that the Kraft was probably reading a lot of media. Because these owners, they read media. They saying this, they saying that. These people are human. They read media, and the Boston media was killing Bill Belichick this year. They were pretty much forced. They wanted him gone, like a lot. It was like a 90% this year. Oh, Bill's got to go. He's this. He's done. Da 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 da. And all the rumors start. You don't think the Crafts see those headlines and they think, man. So those same headlines are gonna come right back again next year if Jerod Mayo's coming in here and the team wins 4 games, 5 games, 6 games. They're gonna say, well, yeah, they won a couple more than last year, but the offense still doesn't look good. And then they're gonna be questioning you because say you don't take Marvin Harrison, you take Jaden Daniels. He struggles or gets hurt. Marvin Harrison goes on to another team because he's not gonna fall that far out. Even if he doesn't go 3, he'd be picked in the next couple of picks. And he ends up on a team, and this guy has like a 1,000-yard season. Puts up huge numbers. He's like Jamal Chase. Then what happens? Then you're going to really have egg on your face. And the Boston media and the fans will let you know about it. So, I'm just saying. Let me know what you think about that. Do you think that Jerod Mayo was the perfect hire? Is this a good situation for him? Is he set up for success, or is he being set up to fail? Let us know. And if you're a Patriot fan out there, let me know who you think they should take at number 3. Let's have the discussion in the comments. Sports page run by sports fans. Peace.